Alright guys, we have here a 25mm or 1-inch wheel spacers. Gonna put these to widen the stance of the RX-8. I managed to pull these wheels back off of the black RX-8 that I have, and I've already replaced the rear, but I haven't put in the wheel spacers, so this is what it looks like. So, getting a close-up shot of what the well looks like. So it's gonna come out just 1 extra inch. Alright, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna jack up the car. Need a low profile jack. And we're gonna get it into the center post. Alright, so there's a center post. You don't have to lift it too high, just enough so the wheel comes off. If you have a impact drill. If not, then you're going to need the wheel on the ground. So you know the wheel's off the ground once it free spins. Alright, so we have one wheel spacer here. These bolts hold on to the studs on the car. So we need those. There's a tapered side, if you notice, on this end, so they only go one way. Unscrew these. Alright, so these are specifically for this set. These are 19mm bolt nuts. Okay, so now we need to figure out what the torque spec for these spacers are. I have another set here for the back. Alright, back of the wheel, so we're gonna stick this on. Nothing complicated. I'm gonna torque these in at 90 foot-pounds, which is what regular studs are supposed to be at anyway, so there were no instructions, so that's probably a good torque for it. Put these on. So just like putting on a wheel, you want to cross tighten these like a wheel so that it's balanced. I'm gonna go get a torque bar and torque these in. Alright, looks like we got it sticking out a little bit. Definitely flush to the fender, 1 inch. It's perfect. Let's do it back now. Okay, you can see it's much more flush to the fender. If I had a wide body, I could probably bring the wheel out a little bit more. So the reason I decided to use wheel spacers instead of just buying bigger wheels, one, they're cheaper, and two, I want to keep the original OEM stock look. while improving the overall handling. Not that this car doesn't handle well already, but you know, makes it look nicer. Alright guys, so I got the second shock out. This came out from the passenger side. You can see that, you notice that this is the adjusted one. I believe this should be in the stock configurations. There is definitely a height difference between the two. And you can tell this, you know, when I got the car I had to tighten it so that it wouldn't slam down into the ground. So apparently that was adjusted very poorly. So we're gonna fix that. We're gonna take this coil apart again, clean it up, and readjust everything. So since we're taking this all apart, I'm just gonna loosen these lock nuts. This is my little adjustable spanner. I don't have the original spanners that came with these coils, so just gonna deal with it. But this should be fairly easy. Since these do turn, I have adjusted these before. So I'm gonna screw this down, unlock this little thing in the middle once this is all loose, and then essentially take this all apart. So this should screw all the way out, and I should be able to clean everything, pull the spring out and clean it, check the bump stop. And alright, so I soaked it with some WD-40 and then just waited a few minutes and broke it free. See, that's one. It's pretty good. And then now I just got to turn this one. Got my little oil filter spanner because I don't have a regular spanner. So you just want to turn this out. Just gonna loosen it. I have this to keep it in place. Helps me out when I'm doing things with one hand. So for a while I didn't know what coilovers I had until I actually took these off. These are Yonaka coilovers for the RX-8. They aren't bad. They are stiff. But that's okay. You know, I actually need stiffer coilovers to keep my wheel from hitting my fender now, so I'm glad I have these. Although these might be stiff because they're just set up wrong. When I first got the car and they came with these coilovers, the car was pretty slammed, and these were basically not even on its springs, so the springs weren't even holding any tension when it was on the car, and you can imagine what kind of ride that was. I don't know what the previous owner was thinking. Thank goodness I figured it out before I drove too long in the car, because that's extremely, I think that's extremely dangerous when it comes to not having a spring under any tension and suspension. But overall, that's over with. We're gonna keep going at this, and I'm gonna take this one off, and then I'm gonna break this nut loose, and then I'm gonna just turn this all the way out and just take it off. So we have everything loose. I have this loose, this is loose, there's no tension on the spring. I lightly knocked on this nut to break it loose, and now I'm just gonna unscrew this piece. You see how now it's moving. I'm just gonna unscrew this all the way out, and everything should be free, and I'm gonna clean it up. Okay, got that out. The spring comes out very easily. Just yank this out. Bump stop's in the way. Let's take that off. Yeah, I might eventually need a new bump stop. This one's cracking a little bit, but for now it's okay. Taking out shocks are actually relatively easy. So the spring is out, and this is loose. I'm going to take this out so I can clean the threads. It's going to take a lot of time. I'm going to take these out as well and clean the threads, and wash this in some light soapy water, maybe some degreaser, get rid of all this grime. Alright, looks, we have it all adjusted, and looks good. Everything's measured up, looks good, and reassembled and cleaned. Now the only thing we have to pay attention to when we install this vacuum cleaner, these are out of place, so I need to make sure this nut here inside is loose so that this can pivot. Once it's pivoted and I stick this in and I adjust the top, I can tighten this this lock nut, and then it's good to go. Alright guys, so an awesome result of widening out the stance is I'm getting Fender Rub. You can see the scratches from hitting the fender. I thought it was just this, but it just seems like it's a little low over here. I mean, that's kind of nice, but so now we're going to put in coilovers. So the first thing we're going to do is take out the coils on the back and then put in the new ones. I'm going to put in the Yonaka coils, but first of all, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the wheel, and I'm going to start taking out the trim pegs here. So here's one. Looks like this needs a Phillips head screwdriver. Let's see if we can get a good. So here it is. So that's one. Have a good one, man. And I get my shoe out of the way. So I'm gonna try to open up from the back. That way I don't have to. So there's one peg here and one peg here. So that looks like all the pegs on one side, and this should actually come off. Alright, so it looks like I need this one is not. So I could probably just pop this one out. I have spares, so if I break these, it's not an issue. But, you know. Alright, I got the two pegs off, one here, and it's loose. So now we're exposing the shocks. So we're gonna loosen these, take out this bracket. This prevents it from moving back and forth. Then there's the lock bolt nuts here, lock nut here, and a positioning bolt back here. This is the one you unscrew from the bottom, the one in the back. Yeah, should be pretty easy. And then we're gonna lift the car and get one side out, and then test the height of the reset coilovers. Alright, so just to let you all know, these are all 14 millimeter metric, so we're just gonna take them all off. I have my little socket, and we're gonna proceed. Oh, tightening it. It's probably not a good idea. So these things probably need a lot of leverage since they're under 14 millimeter. Right, I'll be right back, and I'm gonna loosen all these up. Alright guys, so I have everything loose, so I can take all these out. Let's take this out. One on the other end. And then we got these on top, which are loose, but still a little tight. So interestingly enough, the Yonaka coils won't be using this bracket. So if you have Yonaka coils, you can actually take this bracket off. I believe Megan Racing would still utilize this bracket, but Yonaka coils do not. Just to give you a heads up, this bracket can actually come off and stay off. Alright, so now we gotta loosen the position nut and loosen a few pieces on the wheel well, and this thing is ready to come out. Alright, so this is the position and bolt. It's a size 12. Some other things that we have to unbolt is the end link here, and that's pretty much it. And this piece back here, which actually connects the shock. Other than that, those are the only two pieces you actually have to disconnect. If you really have trouble, you can probably try to take off these end rods. These are the camber rods, I believe. Anyways, but those are unnecessary. What's more important is taking out this so that it can move down, and this so that it can slide out of the housing. Alright, I'm gonna do those right now. Alright, everything is loose, and now we pry. So this comes out. It's just a matter of prying it loose. Realistically, it should come out pretty easily. But then again, you never know. Just gotta get a good I'm gonna tap this with a hammer a little bit just to get it out. Hammered it out. All good. Now it wiggles actually. So realistically, now it's all about wiggling it out so it falls out. This should literally just fall out. That's the way to do it. This is why we disconnected this, so this can actually pivot down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this down and then move the shock out through the back. Alright guys, so I got the shock slightly lowered, but it's still not coming out because it doesn't have room. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move the shock first and then the spring. So there's a bolt up here, it's 17, that we're gonna loosen up. So while I'm doing this, the bump stop for this shock is right here. That actually usually breaks off in these cars with a lot of age, but this one looks okay. Alright, so I'm going to continue to do this, and then I'm going to pull out the shock from the bottom, then the spring. Alright, so that did the trick. I actually slightly screwed this back on so that it would hold that, but this is the top hat of the shock. I screwed that back on so it would hold, and then I just pushed this down and it actually freed up, so the shock actually literally just fell out. So I have it here. Now we just got to turn the spring and it'll be on its merry way. And there you go. Now rear shock and spring are out. We're gonna now continue and put in the coilover. Did a lot of scratching over here. Probably should spray something on that. Yeah, I'll do that now. Put some spray paint on that. So this should be easy. We have the FR. This is the rear. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this up here. Doesn't need the top hat. I'm gonna try to do this one hand, which is gonna be epically fun. I assure you this is super easy with one hand. Alright, so now that I have that positioned, I gotta get this in, and that wasn't so hard. So now I gotta bang it in and then put it in all the bolts. Hand tighten. You gotta hand tighten all the bolts and then let the car come down. That way it de-seats, and then tighten up all the bolts. Just a little thing that has to be done so that you're not putting too much stress on any one bolt. Alright, so I'm gonna get at that. Looks like this was positioned just perfectly, or maybe slightly off. There you go. That turned right in. That's perfect. Alright, cool. That wasn't too bad. So we're gonna put this 17mm nut back in here. Looks like it needs to go in much further. Oh, it's this one. It's actually a bolt, not a nut. Silly me. Alright, so we're gonna screw that in. Like I said, everything has to be in hand tightened. I'm gonna put some No, probably doesn't need it. Just gonna put some WD-40 on it to help it ease in, but actually, you know, I'm gonna do it anyways. There you go. Remember, this should go in pretty easily. You shouldn't have to force it at all. I did say it was a 17mm nut, which I left here. Another reason why you want to set this down first before you tighten anything is you want to make sure that the ride height is perfect. So we're gonna do one side today, do the other side this time. Okay. Go back to the top. We're gonna slightly put these bolts in. Good. This one's still a little bit too shallow. Need to pull it back up. So I gotta put in positioning both from the bottom. Alright guys, so what I did is I lifted this, give it a little bit of upward force, and seated the coilover in. Put in the positioning bolt here. All this is hand tightened right now. And I gotta hand tighten this and these things because I took these out. I'm gonna hand tighten all this stuff and then set the wheel in and put it on the ground and then let it seat for a sec and check the height. The height is very important. So let's hand tighten all this stuff. So we have one side in. I only put 3 lug nuts in because we're gonna take it off. Bring this little sucker down for a sec. Let's see. Alright, so we don't need that. Alright, looks like the wheel gap definitely got bigger. That might be a good thing. Kind of matches the front now. Check out the wheel gap on the other side. I suspect the springs need to be settled.